Good morning, everybody, and I wish you a very active and good air show. As you could see for Airbus, we have a good start. The group has just announced this morning that they authorize us to launch unconditionally the A330neo. So you will see more details what it is about. We enjoy very good sales of the 330. We have sold, I think, more 330s than Boeing 787 for the last 5 years. But we were listening to our customers, and we have one here next to us, John Kluger from ALC, who was telling us he's not the only one. Your aircraft is fantastic. Would be even more fantastic if you could achieve the level of fuel burn which is now permitted by good engines. So we worked out a solution which I believe keeps the maturity, keeps the simplicity, keeps all what is good for the customers on the 330, and on top improves the fuel burn per seat by 14%. And doing so, we achieve level of fuel burn per trip which are equivalent to the 787-8 for the 330-800 and -9 for the 330-900. Perhaps even, John, you will say we are slightly better, but let's say equivalent. We have, of course, the advantages of lower maintenance costs and lower capital costs. So you will see that in more details in John's presentation. I would like to insist on a few points. First of all, we are able to do it in only 3 years and a half, which is quite new in this business. So we are re-engineering, we are modifying the wing, we are optimizing the aerodynamics of this aircraft in 1 year and a half less than we do on the 320neo. It's not because we are much better, it's because first of all we start from an existing engine, and so this one is a big de-risking factor. And second, I want an Airbus which is more agile, which is faster in decision making, which works together better. And I insisted largely on that internally to make sure that we could develop this product in line with market expectations. So this one is very important. The second important point is that we insisted, Tom Enders insisted a lot, that yes, we are launching brand new products when it makes sense, like the A350, but we have a huge potential in our family. 320 we started with a Neo, and so we are looking for faster incremental improvements. And this is, I believe, one of the best examples we could do based on the 330. This investment was not planned, so as a very short negative impact, as you could see on the Airbus Group performance in 2015, will dilute the EBIT by 0.7%. But the business case, I can confirm, is an excellent one. The board of Airbus Group approved unanimously the launch this weekend of this family, and we expect to sell at least 1,000 of these 330neo aircraft. Now, John, I think it's time for you to make us dream.
Okay. Let's take a quick look at this airplane. By the way, people in the corridor, there's still seats over here on the left side. I've recently been rebuilding a pad. As you can see, we've already got one built down there. For the landing gear system. So let me expand upon that just a little bit going forward here. And, click on this, gentlemen. You can see, as Fabrice said, that the A330 is a very, very solid base to build on. Look at the numbers here. 787 launch, our own A350 launch. We've sold more airplanes since the so-called new generation came out than we'd actually sold beforehand with the A330 program. So as Rolls is doing over there with their 7000 engine, making the best better, that's exactly what we're doing with this aircraft as well. And it is a very big market. Now, on the 350-900, we don't quite have the range of a 350-900 or a 787-9. In fact, you'll see in a few minutes, we're probably about somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 miles short on range. On the 330-800, we actually have more range than a 787-8. So if you look at the market in 2032, you can see that about 600 aircraft just require more range than we would have with that airplane. So we take those out. And look at the open demand. It's rather enormous. And what's very interesting is that top blue column, 2,600, that's open demand with operators that are currently flying 330s. So as we did our market study, we decided these are people who love the 330, are making a lot of money with the 330, have their pilots trained on 330s, but would like to have more fuel efficiency. And that's exactly what we're doing with this aircraft. The A330neo, 95% airframe common with today's 330, of course, new engine, nacelle, pylon. Wing is modified. That gives us 14% lower seat mile cost in terms of, rather, 14% lower fuel burn per seat, 12% per trip on the aircraft. Now here are some of the key things that we've done on the aircraft. We have a 4% aerodynamic improvement. How do we get 4% aerodynamic improvement? Well, one of the things is we extend the wingspan. It's now a 64-meter wingspan with big sharklets on the end. That picks up about 4%. There's also a retwisting of the wing involved. Then we have cabin space flex that we have very successfully introduced on our A320neo family, which moves lavatories and galleys around, picks up to 10 incremental seats. New generation engine, I'll let Eric talk about that, but 11% lower fuel burn. Fan size has increased. Yes, fan size is very important. It's up to 112 inches, as you can see now in that little model there. It is a modification of the 787-10 engine, but of course it is going to be a bleed. It's electronic bleed. We get rid of all the pneumatics on the bleed. We still believe bleed is much better way to go in terms of cabin pressure, etc. But some of the reliability issues on the bleed system, even though it's been around since the dawn of the jet age, has to do with the pneumatics that control it. We eliminate the pneumatics, so we have the best of both worlds. Common type rating, as I said before. The common type rating with a 350, but the same type rating as a 330. So a 330 captain, first officer, can fly this aircraft as soon as it arrives. The engine, I'll just go very quickly through that because Eric will say a few words, but notice the fan is bigger. Bypass ratio from 5 to 1 is now increased to 10 to 1. That's where you're getting a lot of the fuel efficiency. 5 to 1 to 10 to 1. Pressure ratio from 35 to 50 to 1. 68 to 72,000 pounds of takeoff thrust. Electric bleed air system. And of course, a lot of commonality as well. In terms of our aerodynamic optimization, 3.7 meters more wingspan, but we still stay within category E. 3.7 more wingspan. That's a lot of additional wingspan, and we do not need to make it look like a fighter aircraft with folding wings, etc. We can do this and stay within category E. So that's the new sharklet that we have. And that's the moving up from the 60.3 meter span to the 64 meter span. And then, of course, direct maintenance cost is very important. And one of the ways we can lower direct maintenance costs by 5% is to reschedule some of the maintenance. If you look at this right now, 2C evolution is moved from 42 months to 48 months. The maintenance planning document is optimized. Evolution of the design, check to 2,000 flight hours in 6 months been moved. Put all that together, and there's the bottom line. 50% less mechanic hours on that airplane over 12 years. 50% less man hours in maintenance over a 12-year program. And then, of course, with the electrical bleed air system, we've already got it on the 380, works extremely well. That picks up another 2% and improves reliability as well. So, summing all this up, I know there'll be a lot of numbers tossed around and a little bit of confusion from the guys in Seattle who are running around in circles right now. Here are the facts. And by the way, this is all guaranteeable to the airlines. Power plant gives us 11%. Now, some of you who are the aviation writers in the room will say, yeah, but isn't it bigger? There must be some more drag. That's true. It is bigger. That costs us about 1%, so you've got to subtract that out. What about weight? Aren't these new generation engines heavier? Isn't the nacelle bigger because the fan's 112 inches? Isn't the pylon going to carry more weight? Yes, it is. And that's going to cost us 2%. So I've got to subtract that out of the equation. But then I have 4% aero improvement for the 3.7 meter long wingspan and the new sharklets. And we put all that together. And this is per trip. So let's not get all tied up about how many seats are in an airplane. We can stir it all up, confuse everybody. No, this is per trip. Per flight, 12% lower fuel burn. Now, with Kieran Rao's SpaceFlex, we can actually get between 6 and 10 more seats into the airplane than we do today. You divide that up, 6 more seats for a 300-seat airplane is 2% right there. It's very simple math. We improve then fuel burn per seat by 14%. That is game-changing, 14%. And that's the new interior. The new interior will have the same IFE, the same LED lighting, the same mood lighting, exactly the same as what's being offered on our own 350 and on the 787. The only way the passenger is going to know that he's not on a 787 is the seat's going to be bigger. He'll have the 18-inch seat, not the 16.9-inch seat, which, by the way, I cannot fit into. So, this is our new interior, for two seating, 18-inch wide economy seat compared to 16.9-inch for my competitor. We also have increased cabin efficiency, what we call ICE. We have new designs, the laboratories, the SpaceFlex, the Smart Lab. We have a mid-underfloor crew rest area. Rather than trying to squeeze people in the overhead and losing bin space, we're putting them in the mid-cabin down below. It works very efficiently. So put all that together, and what are the numbers? Well, here's standard seating for the Dash 800 and Dash 900 Neo. So we have 252 seats on the Dash 800, and we have 310 seats on the 900. In terms of design weights, we stay at 242 tons right now, which is the same as we have today, or at least entering service next year on the 330. Today, we're not up to 242 yet. Engines, we've got the new Trent 7000, 72,000 pounds of thrust. Fuel capacity stays the same at 139,000 liters. Max passenger range, 7,450 and 6,200. Now, if you go to my competitor's website, you'll come up with some very strange numbers about range on their aircraft. And so before you write your articles, I don't want anyone to get confused. They talk about the 787-8 and 7,850 nautical miles, and their Dash 9 is 8,300 nautical miles. Well, that's with unrealistic passenger weights, unrealistic catering, unrealistic weight of the airplane, operator's weight of the airplane. But if I were to do the same thing, this is the range we would have to the exact same rules they've got. So when you're doing comparisons, don't use my realistic airline numbers at that middle line. Use their flaky numbers. So our 8,000, whether our 7,450 airplane becomes 8,200, more range than a 787-8 by about 400 nautical miles. And honesty, being honesty and everything, truth in advertising, I am short of range on the 330-900 by about 1,300 nautical miles compared to the way they would do the calculations. In reality, I've got a 6,200 nautical mile airplane and a 7,450 nautical mile airplane, and so do they, somewhere in that range. I'd give them 1,000 miles more on against the 330-900. Now, why am I not particularly worried about that? Because we cover 93% of all the missions that they can cover. There aren't that many people that actually want to fly to Antarctica. So if you really look at city pairs around the world, we think we've got the missions covered here very nicely. There's a range circle. Here's our 330-800 in the dark blue, and then our 330-900 in the light blue. From London, we can go all the way non-stop to Honolulu. So I hope Mark Dunkley is actually listening to this presentation today. But look at those ranges. We can also go down to Singapore, Jakarta, non-stop from London. Of course, we can fly back as well to serious airline rules. So if you compare the market today, you take the 330neo up against the 787, and what do we have? We have equal or slightly higher seating capacity, and we'll go out and draw that to any airline layout, probably about 6 to 10 more seats than they've got. Equal fuel burn to the 787, actually about 1% or so better, but who's going to argue over percent? Lower engine thrust required. We have proven airframe maintenance costs. Everybody knows how to maintain our airframe, and we even dropped the price of maintaining our airplane by 5%. That gives us 1% lower cash operating costs, but then with the drum roll, the real bottom line is, because we've already got a fully amortized airplane, we can offer it at very, very attractive pricing. Essentially, coming up with a game-changing airplane. Equal or slightly better cash operating costs, much better reliability, wider, more comfortable seats, and a significantly lower price. That when you factor all of that in, it's up with about a 7% lower cost for the aircraft. We launched it right now. As Fabrice said, this is an unconditional and unanimous launch by our board. They had their board meeting. They decided to go ahead and launch it. This is not an authorization to offer. This isn't how many orders are you going to get in the next 6 months, and then we'll decide what we do by the end of the year. Absolutely not. This is fully launched today. The A330 design freeze, Neo design freeze, will be at the end of 2015. Then you can see the engine will start flying in the beginning of 2017. Flight test program. First airplane delivered to some lucky customer in December of 2017. And as Fabrice said, that's a record in terms of bringing a new aircraft to market. It's a record because we know how to build this airplane. We know what we're doing. We're building them at the rate of 10 a month right now. And we have very high hopes that the Rolls-Royce engine will not only meet these targets that we've got up here, but perhaps even exceed them. Eric, would you like to comment?
Especially exceeded. Good morning. So first of all, we at Rolls-Royce are very pleased to be here today and to have been selected by Airbus on the A330neo as a sole source engine. It's very important for us. It reinforced the partnership we have between the two companies. As you all know, we are engaged on a certain number of programs, especially on the large fans. As we all know, the Trent 700 has been the natural selection and is the natural selection on the A330. That's why we have about 70% plus of market share in terms of backlog. The 7000 really builds on that fantastic heritage. We'll benefit from the experience of the 700 with all of the maturity and in-service experience we have. We benefit from the architecture of the Trent 1000-10. And we also benefit from the technology we have now proven on the Trent XWB, which is the most efficient turbofan in the world today. And you will hear more about the XWB within the next few days. So with that being put together, we deliver, as John said, 10% of SFC, which is leading to 11% of fuel burn improvement at power plant level. As we say, double the bypass ratio. And it halves the noise, which is very important, especially for air shows. So basically, the program is already underway. As John mentioned, we are shooting for an engine certification around early 2017 and an entry into service during the fourth quarter of 2017. And this is my pleasure today to be here. I want to thank Airbus and Fabrice and John and all of the Airbus team and the Rolls-Royce team for the hard work we've done together. we have a fantastic product and we will prove it within the next few weeks and few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Fabrice. Thank you, John. And now let's go in the Q&A session. We will have a photo session afterwards. First question, Nicola Clark.
Sorry. Just wondering if you could give us a clue, John, of how much this plane is going to cost, and secondly, also if we can get an estimate of total development costs, or total investment that's going to be involved in this upgrade. Thanks.
Well, in terms of the investment, I think I'd like to turn it over to Fabrice to talk about that. And Stefan will be issuing price lists for the products to be on the website this afternoon.
But regarding the development costs, we are between 1 and 2 billion euro development costs.
Next question, please.
So with the launch of the A330-900neo, and 30-800neo, what does that mean for the future of the A350-800?
The 350-800, we have seen the trend of the market. The trend is that most of the backlog was converted into 900. I think we have still 34 firm orders, so we are committed to them. But this trend, I think, will continue. The big difference is that with the 330neo, we can also offer slightly a smaller aircraft than the 900 in very competitive conditions. And in this segment, the 330neo is more cost efficient than the 350-800. So I believe that all our customers will elect either an upgrade to the 900 or moving to the 330neo. On top of that, as you could see, the 330neo entry into service comes pretty early, so we can match the requirements from our customers.